Daut it says, how are things? How are you? And I just said, you will probably see it the right way today. Okay? And then I will write out the one for see you again later. Remember that one? Or I'll see you again. I'll write it before I end this, but I'm going to go ahead and get my pen ready because I want you to see that one. I'm going to say this word later. It's called I'll see you again. Okay? Let me see if it'll show good on there. See that one. Yep, that's the one. Right now it is this one. And when I open this, it will be anagutzil. Okay, and I will begin my little portion for the Apache lesson again. And again, dagut shilkojong could be your answer. Shilkochong do dagut era, meaning things are okay. I hope it's not shilkochong, because you know what that means? That means it's boring, I'm sad or something. Dosera is another way, but let's don't say those. Let's say shilkojong doratera daustik. Those are good answers when somebody says dagut to you. And then what are you saying? Turn to them. Nihi dagut after you answered it, okay? All right, another little lesson on that one. Today I want to go through some numbers with you. Numbers in Apache. You go on your fingers, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? In Apache, you would go dasa, naki, tagi, di, ashlai. That would be to that, okay? And then from 6 on, you might have to start all over and go from 6 on, all the way to 10 now, okay? Dasa, naki, tagi, di, ashlai, gostan, gostigi, tsabi, gostai, goneznan. So 5 and 5, that would make 10. Ashlai, tlai, ashlai, goneznan. Let's do that again, just with the fingers again, okay? And then I'll sing you a little song about about it. You go. Dasa, naki, tagi, di, ashlai. That's up to 5. Let's do that one again. Dasa, naki, tagi, di, ashlai. That's up to 5. Let's do it again. Up to 10 now, okay? Dasa, naki, tagi, di, ashlai, gostan, gostigi, tsabi, gostai, goneznan. There you go. Goneznan is 10. One more time. 1 to 10. Let's do it again. Dasa, naki, tagi, di, ashlai, gostan, gostigi, tsabi, gostai, goneznan. Okay? Before I write those out for you, let me show you something right here. See this? There's an Apache boy, looks like, on a horse. Let's see what happens now if we keep going. Because this is going to take you all the way to number 10. Look at that. There's one boy. Oh, there's 2 now. And then there's 3. And then there's 4. And then there's 5. And then there's 6. Now there's 7. Now there's 8. Now there's 9 and 10. So 10 boys on a long horse. We can sing this with even doing, it's actually 2 songs that we can do this with, like 10 little Indian boys, you know. A lot of times it's been excluded from teaching the children, but in Apache we say Ishikin, so that doesn't mean Indian boy, it means Ishkin, a boy, okay? So we can sing it with that one going by, remember our numbers? Dasa'a naki. So I go dasa'a naki tagi di'i ashla'i gostan gostigi tsapi gostai goniznan. There we go. Okay, let me straighten this one out. It kind of got a little bit crooked. So let's go ahead and sing about the 10 little boys. Not 10 little Indians, but 10 little boys. Oh, this one goes on the bottom. And this one goes on top. Okay, I'll be turning it every time we say that, okay? Getting ready. Hold on. Getting ready. The boy's on the horse. So we go. Dasaanaki tagi eshiken di'i ashla'i gostan eshiken gostigitsepin gostai eshiken gonesnanjiken. There you go. Just doing forward today, okay? We won't do the backwards one. Just the forward one. Okay, here we go again. Dasaanaki tagi eshiken di'i ashla'i gostan ejiken gostigitsepi gostai eshiken gonesnanjiken. Did I do that one right? Let's do it again. Ready, guys? You know the song now? This is singing it for the 3rd time now, so let's sing it with me. Ready? Dasaanaki tagi eshiken di'i ashla'i gostan eshiken gostigitsepi gostai eshiken gonesnanjiken. There, just forward for now. Once you now learn the numbers, you can actually go backwards on it too. And then there's another song. I'll show you the other song, okay? I'm going to sing it first before we show that one. It goes, so I like doing this, making the bread while I'm singing that one, okay? My Aunt Helen, I don't know if a lot of you remember her. Maybe your parents or your grandparents, they remember Helen Crocker. I think she's the one that wrote this song. She was a teacher in Head Start. And she was a good aunt to me because she taught me a lot of things. So this one, I know is her song, I should say. I know it's her song. It's a number song. She goes like this. Na-do, 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 na-do. Dasaanaki tagi di'i ashla'i na-do, na-do. Go Ghost ton, ghost siggy tappy, ghost digon is na na do 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 na do. Now the one you know how to count to 10 in English. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Na do, 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 na do. There you go. Let's do it with this one now. Ready? Gotta clear my throat so I can sing it up. Okay, here we go. Na do, 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 na do. Da sa na ki ta gi, di a sta e na do, na do, na do, na do. Ghost ton, ghost siggy tappy, ghost digon is na na do, na do, na do, na do, na do, na do. Da sa na ki ta gi, di a sta e na do, na do, na do, na do. Ghost ton, ghost siggy tappy, ghost digon is na na do, na do, na do, na do. There you go. That's the number song. 2 of them in Apache. Well, the other one from English to Apache. Okay, so that's what I have for today. And that was our Apache class. I want to give you a little bit of history because you know what? In Apache class, I have to do some history for you guys too. Today, I'm going to go over the ministry among the Apaches after 100 years. And it talks about Reverend Arthur Genther. Well, he's the one that wrote this story about his father coming to our reservation. So let me see. I'll do the forward too so you know what all is going in here with this story, okay? It says in this paper right here, let me show you how it looks. It looks like this. And it says 1893, Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod, St. Carlos and Fort Apache Indian Reservations. The Ministry Among the Apaches After 100 Years by Reverend Arthur Genther of the Lutheran Apache Mission of White River, Arizona. So, this is what we have today. I'm going to read it to you. Pretty interesting knowing how our missionaries came to be and we got to know Jesus. Okay. This brief epistle is not meant to be a definitive study of any one aspect of our work among the Apache Indians for the past 100 years, nor is it an attempt to enhance, excuse, blame, or second-guess the gains and or losses we have experienced. Okay, it's kind of like saying why this is written, but it's not for the sake of merely putting people down. Okay, so I will stop on that one, but I will continue with the people, which is the Athabascan. We are the Athabascan people. The Navajos are Athabascan, Tonto Apaches, the Mescaleros, you know, all those different 7 tribes. Even the ones in Alaska, they are also Athabascans. We are the Athabascan people. Just who were and are the Apache people whom the early missionaries met 100 years ago, even more, because this one was written when it was 100 years, which was in 1993. So right now, it's over that. It's over even more than 125 years, I believe, okay? Most all ethnologists and cultural anthropologists, people studying about other people, agree that the Apaches are descendants of the nomadic Athabascan wanderers, meaning nomadic, we were just wandering here and there, living here and there, taking off when there's no food or there's no things that are needed for them to survive, so they will move on to a different area. So we were nomadic wanderers, the Athabascan, who migrated south and east and finally south and west from the area around the Great Slave and Bear Lake regions of Western Canada. So there's fur traders of the Hudson Bay Company met them there a long time ago. The first real record that we have of their having settled in the Southwest was compiled by Castanado, the chronicler for Coronado, on his great greedy hunt for the 7 cities of Cibola. Cibola meaning, knowing that they came to see if they could get rich off of maybe gold or whatever they were looking for, diamonds maybe. The fact that they were nomads played no small part in causing the early missionaries to adjust their thinking as to what was the best way to do mission work among them. So these people talking about us, right? They definitely were not a sedentary people like their neighbors, the Pimas, the Papagos, the Pueblos, or the Hopis. Also, it must be noted at the outset that they were not a tribal people in the sense of the upper Midwest Indians. That's like taking the Sioux and the Blackfeet, Ojibwe, Menominee. They were of a tribe. These nomadic newcomers to the deserts and mountains of the area that comprises the land between Colorado River in the west to the Rio Grande in the east, the high plateau to the north, and the Sierra Madre Mountains of northern Sonora, Mexico, were made up of many small clans. So we were each of different small clans. Each clan had a leader. Each clan had a leader, and one that was followed and was chosen and was trained. There was another one to follow that person and was also trained, and an older individual trained them, and they were going to replace them. So these clan leaders were more often than not the shaman. That means like the medicine man. And they were trained from youth in the chant songs, intonations, as well as the various roots, leaves, and berries used in some curing ceremonies. Okay, he was the true religious leader. And this was all the time before the missionaries came. He was a very powerful man who definitely had to be reckoned with and stood up to be the early man. Today, there's no real medicine man trained in the old way. They have been replaced by cunning singers and pseudo healers and leaders of the sunrise dance. They are not as powerful as in the early days, is what is said right here, but still a thorn in the flesh of our missionaries today. So now, the early forerunners of the Apache of 1893 and of today possess no written language. Our language wasn't even written. See this that I wrote on here, like this one actually came from a linguist. Like, they know that most tribes did not have a written language. They did some paintings or pictures in rocks and things. That was their writing, but never a set model to where today we have the English letters, but different symbols to represent the sound of some of them. So that's but then at that time there was no written language and there was no alphabet. So we spoke. That was how we had our language. We just spoke. And whatever was said was passed down. Passed down. No written thing, but whatever was said, the person had to remember. Like the advices giving, the stories giving, and anything that needs to be learned by the people. It was all through just talking. But even with all that, they were like, let's see, it says that they were unable to record for posterity their history, culture, religious beliefs, and practices. When a group can only pass on vital facts through oral communication, there's a good chance that events, rituals, stories, methods, dates, and other vital statistics will be changed, enhanced, deleted, embellished, or lost altogether. So it was difficult for the early men to communicate with the people. It was hard, even through an interpreter. One word could mean a phrase, and often a whole sentence would be necessary. So, the writing and stuff, that was hard for them. Well, just speaking. And then, you know how people change. Like, we had this one activity where there were like the first row of students. The first one was given like a little paragraph by the teacher. And this first student had to explain it to the second person, and the second person to the third person. And it just changed because they were just talking and hearing the other person. Yep, it changed almost after each student would speak. That was an activity that was done one time. Okay. So now, this was really hard for the early men to communicate with the people. So, like the people that came, one word could mean a phrase, and it's like differently. To understand was hard. How could they get across the idea of justification, sanctification, repentance, and forgiveness? Then when we add to this the fact that they were very superstitious, there was a problem too for these for the people that came to teach the Apaches. These are some of the things that had that to do with their superstition: is the owl, the snake, the lightning, darkness, dust devils, types of sicknesses. On the other hand, we must remember that the Apache of yesterday, along with his contemporary descendant, they were very religious. True superstition, fear, and ignorance played a great role in their religious practices and songs, but they did, I feel, have a more positive religion in many ways than the Romans, Greeks, and many modernists today. When a man arose in the early light of dawn from his teepee, which had been constructed facing the east, he would raise his hands, assuming an attitude of prayer. From his lips would come the words of praise, thanks, and supplication to the giver of life. Who's the giver of life? Bigahgoidan. Everybody's God, right? Bigahgoidan. This supreme mystical spirit being was a source of all things. So, facing the east and praying toward the morning sun did not mean praying to the sun. The sun only represented Bigahgoidan, the giver of life. For without the sun, there could be no life, okay? The early missionaries were able to take this heathen practice and turn it into a real object lesson for the doctrine of the first person of the Trinity. The Father, which is God the Father, and He's the Creator, the first person of the Trinity. Much, much more could be written and discussed on the subject of the native religion of the Apache of yesterday and how it influenced the work of this early pioneer missionary. Could be much other things too. The Apaches of the 1890s were poor and scattered. These two facts also did much to kind of have the mission practices of the early men. So there were no textbooks, no doctrinal thesis, no precedents to read, study, or follow. A Midwest-born and bred white middle-class Protestant Lutheran, German-speaking, doctrinally sound, Wauwatosa educated greenhorn to the Southwest must have suffered a real cultural shock in getting off the train in St. Carlos or off his horse at Fort Apache. No real town, just scattered small wickiups constructed of cedar poles covered with bear grass, tied with cactus rope. And a toos, you know what a toos is? That's the water jug that was made by the Apaches. Burning baskets for carrying corn and flour, salt, jerky, whatever the Apaches had as their food. Oh, I should read it to you, huh? They carry corn, flour, salt, jerky, coffee, yucca, bananas, wild onions, acorns, walnuts, and some others. A horse and a couple of patient donkeys. The horses mentioned here were scrawny, meaning they were skinny. Little ones with matted hair, bare feet, and ragged clothing. These were to become his congregation, the missionary that first came to us. Did this early white intruder from the east feel in his pocket for what just might be a return ticket? What were his thoughts in the face of this poverty? These people scattered all over the desert mountains. Were they really included in the commission to go make disciples? It also must be remembered that the white man who came before the missionaries were men not interested in the souls of the Apaches. They were miners, they were trappers, farmers, cowboys, and soldiers, all wanting to take and to dig and to till, graze, trap, and if necessary, kill. This period of push, take over, round up, kill, and deport lasted for 40 years and only ended in a shaky peace in 1886, just 7 years before the first Lutheran missionary began his work. 7 years before. There was peace, if you could call it that. Deportation, roundup and resettle, rations and robbery, subjection and whiskey. Does this all make a happy interaction between conqueror and the conquered? Robbed of land, robbed of freedom to roam, robbed of a way of life, and offered a strange combination of the open hand of friendship and then the closed fist of domination. Okay, guys? I'm going to continue reading from here, which would be for next week. But I'm going to end it now with the word I was telling you about. That was this one here. I had to open this one. This one says double A. And this one says Anagotzel. I'll make it darker so you guys can see it. As it could show better on there than A N A G O D Z I and a slash L. There's a high tone mark over the first A. Oh, both A's. So that's what it is. Anagotzel, it says. That means I'll see you again. Okay? Anagotzel. Okay, thank you for listening today. Anagotzel.